Hey guys, if you like delays, if you like iZotope, and if you like free stuff, well, today is a very special day because the good people at iZotope have just released their DDLY, which is Dynamic Delay Processor. So maybe you have a delay at home, digital, maybe you have like a Roland Space Echo and you're going, why do I need this thing? Well, first of all, it's free. I should tell you, it's going to be free until March 10th, I believe, after which it'll be about $50 American. I'm in Canada, so after the conversion rate, that works out to about $600 Canadian. No, I'm just joking. But our dollar is in the toilet. Anyway, so what does this thing do? Why do you need it? Well, basically, this is a combination of dynamics processing plus 2 delay effects. So in simple terms, this thing gives you delay when you want it and not when you don't. Reading from the manual here, the more detailed answer is this. So the audio inputs of the signal you're throwing into this plugin is fed through a detection circuit that utilizes dynamic analysis with a program-dependent adaptive release to determine the transient character of the audio. So basically, we're using compression kind of math. We have a threshold here, and this sets the point at which this plugin is going to do its work. And what it's basically doing is it's saying for all the large transients, the big transients, it's going to intelligently apply delay to that. And then when the signal drops below the threshold, when you have smaller transients, this unit and its 2 engines are going to do less work. So typically when you're using delay on a vocalist or something, you want to really ramp up the delay at a high dynamic moment, so when they're kind of giving off a big solo or a big chorus or something, and then you want to sort of ride the fader and ramp down maybe the mix or the size or the room or the feed when it gets to the quieter moments, so that you don't have the whole thing sort of awash in delay. So this plugin is doing some of that work for you, but in addition to riding the fader a little bit, it's this kind of dynamic stuff yields some really cool creative moments that we're going to get into with a few presets that I set up from just kind of reading the manual. So if you want to learn more about the signal flow of this thing, the good people at iZotope have included a graphic here that looks like something out of Cupertino's Labs by Apple. Take a look at this. I mean, wow. We've got some crayons, some purple here. We see the threshold and intensity. That's the first part of the chain, and then we go up to the 2 engines here. We've got Epic Banana. I see a pie or a bear or some cherries, and then there's a rabbit, and then we kind of go out here by the filters, and there's an umbrella. So I mean, I will let this kind of speak for itself. This is iZotope right here in one graphic. This is the team. This is the company right here on paper. Okay, let's go back. And I don't want to get into too much of what delays do, what delay plugins and analog gear does, but I'll just briefly describe some of the parameters here of this plugin and what kind of make it special. So we have the 2 delays here. We have a analog delay, which is lo-fi delay algorithm, and it kind of smears and degrades the audio as any lo-fi analog delay unit would. And then we have a grain delay, and if you have Ableton, there's a grain delay audio effect built in. But what this does is it's an algorithm that splits the audio that you're sending into it into multiple grains of adjustable size and pitch. And of course, we turn these engines on. There's 2 of them here with these power buttons, and we can also solo them to see just what I believe it's just what the delay is doing. And then we've got the first thing here on our chain. This is the really cool, the crown jewel of this plugin. This is the dynamic threshold. So we're using, as I said before, compressor math, so that when things pass, let me see here. Yeah, so it analyzes the dynamics of the incoming audio to determine which audio is sent to the top delay and which is sent to the bottom. So with this threshold all the way to the top at 0 dB, which I believe it's here now, not much, if any, of the audio will exceed the threshold, and all the audio will be routed to the bottom. But if we go down to the lowest point, which is minus 60 dB, the transients start to exceed the threshold, and that audio is now routed to the top delay as well. So we have the intensity parameter right here next to it. That's at about 100%. So with the intensity at 100, all the transient audio exceeding the threshold is going to be sent to the top, and anything below that is going to the bottom delay. We have the sync here, which we can apply, and this basically just syncs the delays, timing, and effects to your host, DAW. I have 120 BPM here in Ableton. Of course, we can take it off and then just play with some custom settings ourselves here, which are in milliseconds. Next, we have time. Oh, sorry, that was time, my bad. The feed, this is basically how much of the signal you're sending in to the unit. This is adjust the gain of the delay feedback, controlling how much of the signal is repeated before it's faded out. So low values, tight slapback kind of sounds, and high values, obviously it gets more repetitive and a bit crazier. We have pitch here, and the pitch, this just adjusts the kind of the wetness of the grains of the grain delay that you're doing here. Size, this is well, basically this sets the grain size between 1 and 1000 milliseconds. So this grain delay continuously samples the audio, but rather than playing it back, these samples in a conventional manner, it splits the audio into discrete slices, particles, and this controls the size of your grains, if they're very small or, you know, a little smaller than very small. All scientific terms I'm using here. Next we have mix. So this is how much of the dry versus the wet signal we're going to hear. If we have the mix off completely, we won't hear any of our little fun effects that we put into this plugin. If we put it up 100%, boom, it gets very, very wide. We have the filter here, and we can basically what we're doing is we're saying, hey, DDLY, I want you to focus on this specific band of my incoming audio. And that's what that does. Wide here, this turns on the parameter that modifies the phase of the delayed signal, create a wider sounding stereo image. If you're working in mono, I don't think you'll hear much here, but if you apply it, you'll hear it kind of blow up. Anyway, so let's get to this thing in action. Okay, so I've created a little preset that came in the manual. I just sort of copied and pasted and have it in here. And this is basically, they say it's like a sub generator. So these settings work best on drums and percussion. You get like a kind of boom and a rumble. Let's just, let's hear it right now. I'm going to solo this, and I've got some drum samples here. So this is our sub generator preset with the DDLY. So we can see when we have audio passing through it, this part lights up here, but this part doesn't, because we're not sending any audio to this bottom part. So with it off, you can hear it's still pretty aggressive, but when I apply this this setting to the audio, we get a nice subby boom. Hear that? You know, we're going to the red here, but so you got to be careful. Make sure your mix isn't too far. Keep it at about 12 o'clock. See, we're not doing anything now. If the mix is at 0, and then boom. So that's pretty cool. You can hear it's splitting up into little grains, and I'm kicking them up, I guess 8 semitones now, but I like to keep it here because I don't want to hear anything getting pitched. Here's another drum sample. This kind of reminds you a little bit of Paranoid London. There's nothing going on, and now we had our boom. So it's almost like it's low passing a little bit and adding a nice gooey boom at the bottom. Okay, next this is iZotope's kind of flanger effect, and they say this sounds really good on guitars and vocals, so let's hear that. I'm going to turn it off before I turn it on. Oops, it's already on. That's dry. So you can see here that I have the top and the bottom on. They're both set to grain. The threshold is down. So you can hear it pushing down here on the transients, and then it releases. Just like a compressor. So it kind of has like a warbly kind of, I don't know, dreamy effect. Let's hear it on some vocals.
Okay, don't stop what you're doing. Let's keep it moving, yep. Okay, don't stop what you're doing.
I mean, this almost sounds like a...
Let's keep it moving, yep.
This almost sounds like the H3000 from Eventide.
Okay, don't stop what you're doing.
The way that it messes with pitch and stuff.
Let's keep it moving, yep.
I think it's really cool.
Okay, don't stop what you're doing. Let's keep it moving,
I
yep.
am going to stop what I'm doing and go to the next one. So the next one is dynamic slap, and this creates like a tight filtered echo that mimics a traditional slap echo. And I think we have some drums here. So let me just stop that, flip over, and sorry guys, let me bring up. See, so I've got my filter set to interact with this band here. That's the bottom. And the top, kind of the same thing. So it's adding kind of a slapback. It's not too pronounced as delay. It's not kind of washing into Neverland. It's just, that didn't make any sense. It's just staying like a tight slap, kind of staying close to our transients. If I turn this off, you can hear the original. Let's go to the top one here. So check this out. That's a Rhodes, and that's just dry, and now I'll turn the plugin on. So we can adjust the threshold here. Here's another loop. I think that sounds really cool. There's with it off. I mean, you don't have to bypass it here at the plugin level. You can just go here. But in case you've got both applied here, see I've got this on and this on, the top and the bottom, it's just easier for me to go here instead of turn them off one by one. Okay, so the next one that they set you up with is just a simple 8th note delay. And, let me just toggle that. Yeah, all right. So this is a dry percussion sample. So this is, what this delay does is just filtered, rhythmic, sync delay. We could sync to our host tempo here. So let's apply it. Here we go. It's very subtle, but it just gives some life. Make it wetter. That's what she said. Sorry. Okay. And see, I've got our filter focused on a very sort of narrow section of our EQ band. Almost looks like a sad frog or something, like a very disappointed reptile. Okay. Next, we have actually, let's see here. Next, we have a slapback delay. So, I mean, you guys all know the sound of a slapback delay. It's used on vocals constantly. So that's all that this is doing. Let's hear it. Take it off. So again, just adds bounce and life. I mean, if I went to about 30, you'd barely perceive it because now we're in the Haas zone. But if I take this up to 74 milliseconds, it's also fun to play with delays, their settings, because you get all kinds of fun little byproducts. Here's another loop.
If I could go back in time, I'd try to forget it. If I could walk back over it, baby, it'd be different.
Let's just reduce the wetness here.
If I could go back in time,
so it's a little more subtle.
I'd try to forget it.
And bring our intensity down.
If I could walk back over it, baby, it'd be different.
So it's releasing right now.
If I could
engage
go
it.
back in time.
Okay, and the last one they have you set up here is rhythmic filter delay. I'm just gonna shut up and play it for you. Off.
If I could.
Whoops. Bypassed. So this just gives some groove. here's unbypass. See, so we're playing with this very narrow, or not narrow, this very wide band here, and we're saying, hey, modulate this. The bottom delay is off, but the top is on. And again, you can play with these settings here to taste. There's some phase stuff we're introducing. Comb filtering we're getting. I mean, this would be really cool if you're about to get to like a breakdown or something, and then you just kind of play with this time. Okay, so that's it for the iZotope DDLY. Hopefully I did it justice, people at iZotope. Again, there's the signal flow right there. I just want to kind of finish on this. This plugin is available right now for free on the iZotope website. I will include a link to it in the description for this video. I kind of feel like, why not get this? It's free. It's going to cost money after a little bit. So get it now, play with it, and I think you're going to have some fun and memorize this signal flow here.